Have you ever felt like you're stuck in the same routine, day after day, watching your dreams slip further away? You wake up, go through the motions, and wonder if this is all there is to life. Well, what if I told you that everything could change with just one story? What if the next few minutes could be the turning point that transforms your entire future? Today, I'm going to share something powerful with you. This isn't just another motivational video that you'll forget by tomorrow. This is about understanding how a single moment of clarity can shift everything. By the end of this story, you'll discover the one mindset that separates those who break free from mediocrity and those who remain trapped in their circumstances. But first, let me tell you something incredible. I've spent years studying people who I found transformed their lives. What will surprise you? It wasn't their talent, their connections, or even their circumstances that made the difference. It was something much simpler, something that's available to every single person watching this video right now. In a bustling city where millions of people rushed past each other every day, there lived a man named David. He was 35 years old and worked at the same office job for over a decade. Every morning, he would take the same train, sit at the same desk, and do the same tasks. His life had become predictable, safe, but completely unfulfilling. David often looked out his office window at the busy streets below and wondered what it would feel like to pursue something meaningful. He had dreams once. He wanted to start his own business, travel the world, maybe write a book. But somewhere along the way, those dreams got buried under bills, responsibilities, and the fear of taking risks. One evening, as David was walking home from another exhausting day, he noticed something unusual. An elderly woman was sitting on a bench, feeding pigeons with a warm smile on her face. What caught his attention wasn't just her kindness, but the genuine joy radiating from her eyes. In a world where everyone seemed stressed and hurried, she appeared completely at peace. Curious, David approached her and said, "Excuse me, but I couldn't help noticing how happy you seem. In this chaotic city, that's quite rare." The woman looked up at him with twinkling eyes and replied, "Young man, happiness isn't about where you are or what you have. It's about how you see your life and what you choose to do with each day." David sat down beside her and said, "But how can someone be happy when life feels so repetitive and meaningless? I feel like I'm just existing, not really living." The woman chuckled softly and said, "Let me tell you about my grandson, Michael. He faced the same struggle you're describing." She continued, "Michael worked in a factory for 15 years. Every day was identical to the last. He felt trapped, believing he had no other options. He would come home exhausted and defeated, thinking this was his fate forever. But one day, something changed his perspective completely." David leaned in, genuinely interested. "What happened to him?" The woman's eyes lit up as she began her story. Michael was walking through the factory one afternoon when he noticed a small crack in the wall. Through that crack, a tiny plant was growing. Despite having no soil, very little light, and surrounded by concrete, this little green shoot had found a way to survive and even thrive. That plant became Michael's daily inspiration. He realized that if something so small could push through such harsh conditions to reach for light, then surely he could find a way to break through his own barriers. The next morning, Michael did something he had never done before. Instead of rushing straight to his workstation, he stopped to really observe his surroundings. He watched his co-workers, noticed the patterns of the machines, and began asking himself questions he had never considered. What if this job wasn't a prison, but a stepping stone? What if he could learn skills here that would help him build something better? For the first time in years, Michael started paying attention to the small details around him. He noticed which machines ran most efficiently, which processes could be improved, and which problems kept repeating themselves. Instead of just going through the motions, he began thinking like someone who cared about the outcome. Within a few weeks, Michael approached his supervisor with ideas for improving the production line. His suggestions were simple but effective, and they saved the company both time and money. His supervisor was impressed and asked Michael to lead a small team focused on process improvement. But here's where the real transformation happened. Michael realized that his ability to see solutions wasn't limited to factory work. He started applying this same mindset to every area of his life. When he got home, instead of collapsing on the couch, he would spend an hour learning new skills online. He began reading books about business, watching tutorials about technology, and connecting with people who shared his interests. The woman paused and looked directly at David. "You see, my grandson discovered something powerful. He learned that changing your life doesn't require a dramatic overhaul. It starts with changing how you see your current situation." David felt something stirring inside him. But how did he actually make the leap? How did he go from factory worker to something bigger? "Patience, young man," she replied with a knowing smile. Michael's journey teaches us that transformation happens in stages. After 6 months of leading improvement projects at the factory, he had developed confidence in his problem-solving abilities. More importantly, he had proof that his ideas could create real value. That evening, after hearing the woman's story, David walked home with a different perspective. He looked up at the same buildings he passed every day, but now he saw possibilities instead of walls. The next morning, instead of mindlessly scrolling through his phone on the train, he opened a notebook and began writing down 3 small changes he could make that very day. Michael eventually started his own consulting business, helping other companies improve their operations. But the real victory wasn't the business success. It was the moment he realized that he had the power to reshape his reality simply by changing how he viewed his circumstances. The woman stood up from the bench, gathered her things, and looked at David one last time. "Remember, young man, every expert was once a beginner. Every success story started with someone who decided that today was the day to see things differently. Your plant is already growing through the cracks. You just need to notice it." As David watched her walk away, he understood something profound. The life he wanted wasn't waiting for him somewhere else. It was waiting for him to start building it with the tools and opportunities that were already in front of him. Sometimes the biggest transformation begins with the smallest shift in how we see our world. Your reboot doesn't require you to quit everything tomorrow or make dramatic changes overnight. It starts with recognizing that you already have more power than you think. The question isn't whether you can change your future. The question is whether you're ready to start seeing your present moment as the foundation for that change. Your breakthrough is waiting for you to notice it.